So there's not white space yet.
Not yet. In some of them there is white space, like in that one.
Contact.
But with pins we don't have white space
Look
yet.
what it did with this bow.
Yeah, so some of them, it might just be, it only kind of lets you draw a certain length, and then it makes another one. Yeah.
Here's for your nitpicky list at the end of, not prioritized, but way in the future. Do you see that the sign for very
Grasp.
for penetrating is just a little? It's supposed to. Do you know what I mean? It's
I
just
do. We
aesthetically,
talked about
it's
that.
very slight nitpicky.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's
don't
actually
laugh.
no.
No, I'm just laughing at myself trying to do
Yeah, no, this is something that we talked about because it also is a problem with in the addressing bow with the hold sign, in that in the rectangle of pixels that David has available, it can't go above it or else the symbol changes. But I will ask him if that's possible to.
Well, pixelation
change.
is still a huge problem in Laban Writer as well.
I see.
There's certain things that are really hard to do, like you can only contract a symbol so much because the pixelation won't go any further. Because it's the size of the pixels that you're also having to deal with.
Right.
And the parameters. Is that correct?
Well,
Yeah.
It's the wish list for nitpicky stuff.
Great, and I wrote it down.
Okay.
All right. Other things in the symbol palette. Everything else. Oh, let's lay a stamp. So, down in the column where you've got the hold signs and you got it, and the center of weight. Those are the symbols that I call stamps because you just tap it once and that's it. So I'm just going to lay the center of weight because you can see it. So again, it works the same way. You tap once on the symbol palette, you tap once to make the palette go away, and then you tap once to lay it.
Hey, that's easy.
Ta-da! Right?
Which one's center of weight?
It's the circle that's filled in.
Circle. Oh, okay.
Now, this acts a little bit differently, and these are tiny, so sometimes I do need to zoom in or use my stylus to really kind of get it to work. But the same way as everything else, if you touch and hold, it turns red and you can move it. Yeah. And then to make it bigger or smaller, you tap on it once, and the plus minus makes it bigger or smaller.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hannah,
Yes.
remember I told you about the symbol that, as far as
Yeah.
we could tell at our staff meeting,
Mhm.
this symbol is not in your move.
Just
Oh,
hit
I
the
see.
plus
Oh,
or minus.
great.
It looks like it should be like this, and
Oh.
when you're thinking about it, the triangle in Labanotation and in Motif notation,
Right, it makes
which
the
is
shape.
derived from the shape symbol, it's
Right.
about shape.
Right.
This is about meandering, which is about making paths. So
Okay.
this is not
Yeah. Then
kosher.
it's,
This is, and if you look, and if you want me to, I'll look, but you can find it in your move under meandering, and this is what she does.
What is the arrow on it mean?
Because the idea of motion, and this is a path sign, and the derivation, but
yeah, that's it. David can change that.
yeah, it's not a big deal.
So it's not a
I have
meander
a-
if you don't have the little arrow? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Question. Is it possible, I mean, if you're working with more complex scores, like on these stamps, like the hold weight, if when you click on it once, if it would stay in default plus or minus, rather than once you hit minus, it goes away, and then if you need to reduce it again, can it stay in plus or minus mode until you click on the symbol or click off or
Yeah,
whatever?
that's a good. I'll put that. Yeah, we hadn't thought about that. So yeah, let me.
Because otherwise you just keep going back and forth until you get it the right size. But
Yeah.
a lot of times you know that you have to go pretty small pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, that's David. Let's see what.
And this
And there may be other symbols that are similar
Yeah.
to that idea,
Yeah,
that if
that's
it just
really great.
stays on until you're finished.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
And this keeps going to sleep, and then you have to come back again. Is that because
That's what I.
That's a setting.
the
That's
setting?
a setting of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah. It can change the setting. Yeah.
So before we move on into the staff, if you would all just take 3 to 5 minutes to play around, lay some symbols. I'll come around.
You were going to tell me
And
how to
help.
change facing pins. Directions.
Yes, we'll get there too.
When you upload like Pasagalia, can you manipulate that score?
Yeah.
That's good news, bad news.
Yeah. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about in the sort of implications part.
All right, let's
That's,
look.
that could be a problem.
Yeah, but let's.
Yeah.
But we have to have protected copies.
Yeah, I think they're, yeah.
Look, or it gets just uploaded like a PDF file that is just an image.
Now here, for example, I'm on Passacaglia, and I've got the surroundings, the support bow. Now the question would be, and that's clearly not drawn correctly. Now the question is, was that because it was drawn incorrectly on Laban Writer?
It's
Or
possible.
is it because of
Well,
the way it was imported?
Yeah, so that we would just have to look
Can you
at
show
both of
me?
them and see.
No, also with the thing, sometimes when you import something from another device, we have found like symbols just simply shift.
Yeah, and one of the thing that I mentioned earlier about how Laban Writer is old, Kinescribe is drawn in a different way, where you get more detail, and so when things come over from Laban Writer, they take up a certain number of pixels, and the pixels are different in Kinescribe, and so one of the things that David is thinking about as he's thinking about Laban Writer is bringing the two programs closer together so that they're closer. So it's going to be a little bit clunky until that happens, but it's just the transfer from one device to the other. But if you put it back into Laban Writer, it should be fine.
But that's that's a pretty good analogy to the problem we're having between Laban Writer and
iPad.
PDF. What you're
PDF.
describing right now is
Right.
what we're experiencing, and which David is saying is not happening. Because he keeps looking at the score online, and everything's fine. So he's not actually I don't think he's actually done the physical saving it as a PDF file and then printing it out to see what happens.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Okay.
no, when you print it out, actually everything's there. It's when you're looking at a screen online, things are not there.
No,
When
when we
you
printed
print
out
out,
3
is-
on a match, it was not.
Well, sometimes it
It was
varies
not-
because I had Mira did like several different versions in PDF, and we shipped them over for book publication. And I got the final thing back to review, and it was just the whole thing was scrambled.
Yeah.
It was the same thing that was
And
sent.
a PDF should be consistent.
It was
I
a
mean,
Well, but
PDF
that's
was-
why, like to New
Yeah.
York Times, we sent everything as JPEGs.
We
As a
sent it
picture,
JPEGs,
yeah,
we
as a
sent it
picture.
as
That might be
PDF,
better,
we sent
'cause
it
it is
every
a
which
picture.
way we could
But
think of.
JPEG doesn't
Is-
shift because
Well,
it
I
takes a
think-
photo. No, you take a photograph in JPEG.
Yeah, but the JPEG memory is much bigger, larger than PDF.
We've never had problems with JPEG.
Okay, we did send it in both.
Okay, I'm going to continue. You can keep talking. I'm going to continue on to Alice because I haven't asked if she. One is email as PDF, and if you tap that, what happens? Oh wait, I just added a page. If you email as PDF, you'll see that it pops up into your email,
Oh, yeah, it
and
does.
then you can just email it from there.
Untitled sample.
But I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so at this point, if you'd like to save, if you go up the other symbol in that trio up there, it looks like an arrow pointing down. It looks like kind of the download symbol. If you tap on that, a little dialog box will come up, and you can title the score,
And can,
like the staff. But is everyone clear on how to save? And then once you save,
which one is saved? The
Third one from the left. Oh, no, from
The one that looks like put something in a
oh yeah, I
box.
see it. Okay.
Or in the
I
envelope.
got it.
right. I cannot read this upside down. SCORE. So then once you save it, if you open up your file list, this little drawer here, it will be there, my score. Yeah. And then if you want to make a new score, you click new score and you have it, so and you don't lose anything. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
right.
does.
So that if I open this again, I've already saved it, it's there, I click new score,
Or your,
I have a
what
new
is
score that I can do again, and then the score I just saved is in my file list.
And then how do we delete the
delete
score?
scores that you put on.
we don't
there.
have that function yet.
Oh, so May
my
has moi score forever?
God.
Sorry, May.
Oh my.
I'm gonna kill a program and reinstall. That's it.
Yeah,
Or,
Yeah.
or when you make mistakes writing. Oy.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
that is going another.
One
Okay,
false
Especially
move
since
and
you have to
you're dead.
move every single thing
Oh
over one by one by one.
I know,
at
but my
this point, right?
teacher and everybody's going to know how inept I was last
Not a problem. Okay, so I want to teach you how to use the staff because that is it's not intuitive. So if you go to your symbols palette, in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see what looks like a staff. So tap once on it, and then tap once to make the symbol palette go away, and then tap once to lay the staff. So it acts kind of like a stamp. But here's where acting like a stamp ends. Tap once on the staff, and you'll see a pop-up menu, and then you can choose all of these things. But that only changes for the way that it exists right now. The way that you make the staff bigger, like to have more measures, is that while it's selected, but without the pop-up, so while it's selected, but without the pop-up, you push, and I don't know if it's going to do it because it needs to be at the right angle, but you can push in either direction to stretch it, and then it usually kind of jumps, and then you just move it.
Jumps and pops.
Yeah, it jumps and pops, and then you just click off it, and then select it to make it red, and then make it move. Yeah, so Allison, let's see.
I didn't.
Deselect it, and now try making it red.
Can you do it one more time?
Yes,
Facing the
absolutely.
screen?
Yes. And then to delete the staff, you just select it and hit the delete button. And you might have to hit it a couple of times. So I lay the staff, and then I tap once, and the dialog box comes up. And then if I first want to just add measures before the dialog box comes up, I tap off to make the dialog box go away, and then I drag it, and it'll only increase by one measure with each drag. Normally it's going to move in a place you don't want it, so then you tap off to make the blue dots go away. You touch and drag to turn it red, and then it moves.
It's making it
so now-
expand above, beyond where the screen is.
Exactly. So that's when you tap off, and then you touch it to make it turn red, and then you can move it wherever you want it.
Okay, so now I've moved my staff over to my notation. I've moved my staff over to my
think I was
notation,
having
and now it's
anything.
not letting me click on individual
I must have
symbols
added,
to
like, 8
read.
Yeah, that's because you're still kind of selected on the staff. So depending
I
on...
thought it wasn't adding anything, but I added them and they all went above where you could see. Yeah.
Sometimes so right now what's going on is that the symbols, once you place the symbols on the staff, and this also should happen if you kind of place the staff over the symbols, though usually it happens in the reverse order, is that the symbols know they belong to the staff. So the whole thing should move as one.
But I drag the staff onto
But you
the
drag the staff
symbols.
onto the symbol, so it might not read that way.
Okay.
But you can select individual symbols, but it's a matter of like the screen reading where your finger is, so you
So
might
you
have
have
to
to
make it
even go
large.
bigger.
Yeah.
So what
Now-
happens if you've made, like, I didn't realize I was even making additional measures,
Mm-hmm.
so I did it over and over again, but they went up into non-space up here. And so
And now you have too
now
many.
I have too many.
Here's a couple of things about the staff, and I'll get to this question as I explain this. So once you have more than one measure, you can select individual measures, or you can select the whole staff. To select the whole staff, you use one finger and tap inside the staff, and then this dialog box will come up, and you can do the whole thing where you have the center line or you don't have the center line, double bar, all of those things that you can do in Laban Writer. Now, if you want to just select an individual measure, here's where your two-finger tap comes in. Two-finger tap at the same time over one measure, and you get a special pop-up for that individual measure. And then in that individual measure, you can change the characteristics of that measure.
That's right.
And
Try that.
I thought you could delete individual measures, which is where I was going, but you actually can't. So,
So once
Unless
you've
you
made
make
once
beats-
you've made
can
it,
you make
you
beat 0?
so once you've
Yeah.
made a measure, you can't get rid
once
of
you've
that.
made a measure, you're stuck with it.
Okay.
You have to
You just delete the whole staff?
You just leave the whole tab. Yeah.
I just got rid of all my symbols
There's no undo currently.
with the staff.
Yeah, but you saved it, right? So just go to Open Score because you haven't resaved it, and it doesn't autosave. It doesn't autosave, everybody.
Oh,
But you
Oh,
should.
well.
But it came back. See?
That's how you get rid of the staff.
You have to keep saving all the time. And
So
then-
is preferences something that also you set up for how often you want it to save?
We don't. It doesn't even have that yet. There's no autosave yet.
So then how did it save back to why did it choose to save back before I made my staff?
Because that was the
you
one that
saved
you
it.
saved it.
Oh,
And then
okay,
you
well,
add the
so-
staff to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.